Okay, so I think they uploaded the handout, and you will get that in the print format in between the class only. I gave them so late, so I think online it must have been uploaded. The handout is for aptitude and foundational values for civil services. So please go through it after we complete the topic today. Yes? And who has messaged that it is too cold? Group पे डाला है ना? Okay. Okay. I think after some time we can adjust the temperature. Initially, I'm very hot actually because I don't feel quite comfortable, initially. भाग भाग के आते हैं ना तो all sweaty and everything. So that is why. Okay. Sir, you talked about Mohsin Begum case, not Begum case, and TSR Subramaniam case, how it is related to non-partisanship. In TSR Subramaniam case, Supreme Court remarked that there should be security of tenure, and security of tenure for 2 years. So if you are transferring any particular bureaucrat before that particular period, then there should be some accountability for that. So basically it is preventing political executive from using transfer as a stick. So that is how it is related to non-partisanship. Okay. Talking about Allahabad case, that was the remark by the High Court that immediately after the transfer of ruling party, the change of ruling party, there is tidal wave of transfer, and that tidal wave of transfer actually reflects, lack of trust in bureaucracy, in the non-partisanship of the bureaucracy. So, honey, is it clear now? Understood? Non-partisanship flows from constitution, not ideology, because our constitution requires bureaucracy to be non-partisan, not from any ideology. You should not align yourself with any political ideology, like that you will be favoring BJP, you will be favoring Congress, while imagine Election Commission of India starts favoring BJP, or it is known that it is favoring BJP, then what kind of catastrophic impact it will have on the morale of the voters, that they are voting and participating in democracy. So imagine that. So that is why it is important that they remain non-partisan. Any other thing? Any other doubt? Can we say dedication develops willpower at individual level? Yes, for dedication, willpower is prerequisite. Because dedication, for example, how dedicated you are for the civil services, it will depend upon your willpower, definitely. So willpower is a function of that, but willpower usually will not be used in the context of answer writing. Any other doubt? Okay, last. In the comparison table, essence of non-partisanship is attitude, but for impartiality, essence is behavior. Because attitude we discuss at the mental level, that what is a predisposition, what is a tendency to behave. So it stops you at the mental level only, that you should not align with any political party. Forget about your behavior. But impartiality is actually encouraging you. Impartiality will be judged, how you are behaving properly, whether you are discriminating amongst the people or not. So that is why essence of impartiality is in behavior, but essence of non-partisanship is attitude. That from mentally also, at that level also, you should not even think of aligning with any political party with respect to official work. Any other doubt? जी नो बॉटम लाइन तो मैं सेक्शन ए के आंसर राइटिंग में बॉटम लाइन में कुछ नहीं दे रहा हूँ, पहले ही बता रहा हूँ. बॉटम लाइन मिलेगी सेक्शन ए के आंसर राइटिंग में. एट टाइम्स नॉन परफॉर्मेंस मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्टर्स दैट आर आउटसाइड योर कंट्रोल. देन हाउ यू कैन से दैट इट इज इट इज अ फॉर्म ऑफ करप्शन. इट ऑलवेज कॉन्टेक्स्ट डिपेंडेंट. Any other doubt? Online वालों, did you understand everything that we discussed yesterday? घर जाके रिवाइज किया? Yes. अब बताइए ऑनलाइन वालों, स्पिरिट ऑफ द सर्विस, डेडिकेशन टू, हाँ मोर और लेस सेम ओनली. यस, समझ में आ रहा है आप लोगों को? आ रहा है कि नहीं? अच्छा, ऑनलाइन वाले हो गया डाउट? नीचे दिखाओ भाई, कौन सी चैट विंडो है? नीचे. Is neutrality same as impartiality? That is a very good question. Okay, so let us discuss it. Let us discuss it just now. See, neutrality in the context of Bavarian bureaucracy. Bavarian bureaucracy, ये बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है, इसको सुनिए ध्यान से. Neutrality in the context of Bavarian bureaucracy implies two things. You know, that you should be A, value neutral, and B, you should be politically neutral. Okay, so when you are talking about neutrality, so it means that you should not have your any personal preference. Yes, basically there should not be any personal judgment, any personal biases that should be there when you are making that decision. You should make decision based on facts and facts only. So basically, whenever you hear the term neutrality, it is mostly meaning value neutrality, and value neutrality, that too in the context of Bavarian bureaucracy, because the question will be that neutrality does not imply apathy. That is what the question will be. Neutrality does not mean apathy. Critically comment. So if you are not taking the context of neutrality, that it is objectivity, the sheer objectivity, the mechanical objectivity, then you will never be able to answer this question. Because for you neutrality will be, हाँ भाई neutrality तो होना चाहिए. Understood or not? Only when you understand neutrality from the perspective of the objectivity that we have understood. Understood or not? अरे भाई थोड़ा चेहरे को थोड़ा सा मोर कम्युनिकेटिव इसको करिए. मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा, मेरा पूरा विल पावर खर्च हो जाता है ये समझने में कि आपको समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है. एटलीस्ट कुछ नहीं है तो ऐसे ऐसे कर दिया करो, ठीक है, मुंडियाँ हिलाइए थोड़ा. सो the question is that neutrality does not imply apathy. That is the question. Neutrality, bureaucratic neutrality does not mean apathy. Critically analyze. That is the question. So when we are talking about bureaucratic neutrality, we are talking about value neutrality only. And value neutrality in the context of Bavarian bureaucracy was what? That there should not be any value, any preference, value is preference only, any preference that should guide our decision making. It should be fact-based decision making. It should be objectivity, sheer objectivity. The mechanical concept of objectivity that we have understood. Now you understand this question, that bureaucratic neutrality does not mean apathy. Now you understand this question? Yes, because if you follow the objectivity in a mechanical fashion, then it will be apathy only. I will give you example, don't worry. Okay, in the context of scheme PDS scheme and that old lady, you know, now that lady comes to the PDS officer, and PDS officer simply says, since objectively, since at factual basis, you are not meeting the eligibility criteria for this PDS ration, and thereby I cannot help you, please go away. So the bureaucrat is being objective, it is being neutral, but it implies apathy. Yes, it implies apathy because bureaucracy hides behind rules. They hides that was the critical perspective that we discussed in the context of objectivity. That if you follow objectivity mechanically, that is the consequence of that. The traffic constable that I gave, the example that I gave you about presidential budget and everything that was there. You know, the traffic constable was following objectivity very mechanically, rules very mechanically, and that is why it led to apathy. So that is where this question comes, that value neutrality in the context of Bavarian bureaucracy is basically objectivity only, that you are taking decision based on facts and not any. What is meant by apathy? वो आज पढ़ा देंगे आपको क्लास में, but apathy is something that I expect you to already know. It is very basic term. Okay, क्या हो गया? हाँ. So basically the point is, कहाँ पे थे? That is the problem. कहाँ पे थे? कहाँ डिस्कस कर रहे थे? Yes, so value neutrality essentially means that you are being very objective in nature, that you are taking decision based on facts and facts only, and that actually makes you apathetic. Don't you recall the discussion that you were criticizing objectivity on the basis of that only, that you required empathy and compassion also to make decision making? So that is the perspective. So value neutrality does not mean apathy. So basically it is a criticism of bureaucracy, the people who are hiding behind rules and objectivity, that we should not do anything because rules are not saying so. No, you should go and step ahead and find, you should be the person who are problem solvers. Basically what we discussed yesterday. All these examples, that lady Shashankala Allah, she could have shared the Hilly terrain is there and I need not help, because If terrain is like that, it is not in my hand. What can I do? But because of dedication to public service, because of compassion, because of empathy, she went a step ahead and solved and actually helped the people. Understood or not? But if she was following the objectivity very mechanically, then what she would do? She will say that only, that I cannot do anything. So that is a criticism that is there. So value neutrality does not mean apathy. It simply means that you should not follow objectivity blindly. So when you're talking about value neutrality in the neutrality in the context of bureaucracy, it simply means value neutrality from the perspective of objectivity and also political neutrality. Understood or not? ऊपर दिखाइए जरा क्या लिख दिया इन लोगों ने, पूरा ऐसे लिख देते हैं. और ऊपर Understood, Suhani? You asked the question. Is neutrality same as impartiality? You asked the question. Neutrality, I think someone asked this question yesterday also. Is objectivity same as impartiality? And I told you there also, objectivity you only understand from this point. It is fact-based decision making. It is just that. You can be impartial by following emotions. For example, if suppose I am helping tribals and all these people are tribals only, and I am feeling the pain of them and I am helping everyone, but I am acting on emotions. I am not being I may not be objective but I am not discriminating amongst them when I am distributing the relief. So this decision may not be objective, it is emotional, but it is impartial. So that is what you need to understand. Apathy dimension. Apathy is basically if you ask me a question and I don't respond to you. That is apathy. Okay, that is what apathy. Okay, नीचे ले आइए इसको. When the question says critically, we have to write both against an argument. ऐसे माथे पे लिख के लाऊंगा कल से कि सेक्शन ए के आंसर राइटिंग में डिस्कस करेंगे ये सब. नीचे. So value neutrality is mechanical and leads to apathy, and being impartial is not acting upon your values. Being impartial simply means that you should not be discriminating when you are helping someone, when you are indulging in any behavior. That, अरे भैया तो नीचे क्यों कर रहा है? I'm answering that question. So if you are helping someone, that help may originate out of facts or it may originate out of emotions, and that will decide whether it is objective decision or it is subjective decision. नीचे नीचे. So while both concepts involve avoiding biases, neutrality is more about not getting involved, where impartiality or being fair and objective. Yes, you understood it right. That bureaucratic neutrality, they understand from this perspective that we should not get involved, because they limit themselves by rules and regulation. Yes, so that is what leads to apathy. In the same example of the traffic constable, he limited himself that I am merely implementing the traffic rules, and if you are dying, then so be it, you please die. The PDS officer is saying that since you are not meeting the eligibility criteria, I cannot help you. So he is restricting himself, he is not getting involved, and that behavior is basically apathetic. So yes, very nice that bureaucratic neutrality can lead to apathy, and that neutrality comes from objectivity only. नीचे ले आइए और नीचे. Equidistance and affinity makes integrity. Equidistance and affinity, ये क्या बोल रहे हैं? कौन सा subjective term है भाई? I don't know this. What is equidistance and affinity? क्या मतलब है इसका? Everyone understood? समझ में आ गया आप लोगों को? ये ऑनलाइन वाले बोनविटा खान पीने लग गए हैं क्या? बहुत डाउट आ रहे हैं. आप लोग भी पूछो ना, ऐसे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है मुझे. Equity is not being maintained now. अरे समझ में आ गया भाई, आज का लेक्चर चालू करें. डाउट डिस्कशन हाफ एन आवर. एट टाइम्स आई थिंक दैट परहैप्स आई एम नॉट टीचिंग यू वेल एनफ. शुरू करें? यस. यस मानस, मोर और लेस लाइक दैट ओनली. ठीक है. सो व्हाट वी डिस्कस यस्टरडे, आई थिंक अब वो टाइम तो चला गया रिवीजन का. अब यू अपने आप से कर लेना. ठीक है. आइदर यू आस्क क्वेश्चंस और. सो today's important topic is tolerance. Next foundational values for civil services is tolerance. Tolerance. So, tolerance is basically the permissible attitude that we have towards any attitudinal object, that is different than us. It may be different opinion, different cuisine, different culture, different dressing pattern, different opinion. Understood? So basically it is about having the permissible attitude. Tolerance is actually an attitude. Yes, it is actually an attitude. It is capacity to accept and respect differences and diversity of opinion, practices and behavior. Understood or not? That is what tolerance means, and I think we have discussed that you talk about Akbar and Aurangzeb, and we get to learn that how Akbar was more of a tolerant leader, while Aurangzeb was more of an intolerant leader. Yes or no? So that is what we need to understand, and let's talk about this Jainism. I think that is also we have discussed that in the context of Jainism, Shadvad or Anekantvad, that reflects tolerance only, because it says that to answer to any question is perhaps, shayad, because there is no such fundamental or one side of the truth. There can be many sides of the truth. So it is actually promoting tolerance, that there can be multiple answers instead of one answer. Understood or not? Yes. So that is what tolerance means. So now suppose I ask you, what is the relevance of tolerance in the context of India? So the very first point that should come to your mind is diversity, that our country is so diverse. You talk about ethnicity, you talk about religions, we talk about caste, you talk about region, you talk about languages. Our country is so diverse that we are having many different practices and opinion consequently. So thereby, without tolerance, we will never survive. Without tolerance, we will never experience unity and diversity. Because otherwise, you will see divide only. Otherwise, you will see, please close this chat window. Otherwise, you will see divide only. Understood or not? So that is why tolerance is very much important when we are dealing with a diverse society. You understand this feeling of unity and diversity? You understand this part? In society, you will often come across that even though we come from, different diverse background, still we believe that we come from the same nation only. You talk about the feeling of triumph that was there when India won the World Cup. India won the World Cup, so the people in South India, people in North India, Northeastern India, everyone celebrated. So when the Chandrayaan 2 was being sent, an entire country, across the country, you were seeing prayers. Namaz were being offered, havans were there, puja parts were there. So basically, everyone was so glued. Despite having diverse opinion, that is what unity in diversity means. That even though all of us may be having different opinion, but fundamentally all of us are same only. Can I discuss something more on this, unity and diversity? It will be helpful for your society also. So what are the factors that promote unity and diversity? What are the factors? The factor, unity and diversity simply means that despite being from different background, different cultural backgrounds, all of us are same only, all of us believe in one identity. So Constitution provides that. Constitution is a very fundamental basis of providing unity and diversity. Constitution. Okay, because all of us are Indian citizen only. So it does not matter which part of the India you live in, you will get the or more or less same fundamental rights. So Constitution. So similarly, you talk about their various ways. You talk about all these moments. The Kargil war was there, or 26/11 attack was there. Whenever there is an attack on our Indian soil, all of us feel that we have been betrayed. All of us feel the pain. So that is what unity in diversity means. That despite being from different backgrounds, we feel that all of us are same only. Understood or not? So that is what is the meaning of unity and diversity. And there are various traditions that have upholded unity and diversity. You talk about this Char Dham Yatra, this Char Dham Yatra and all these Hindu pilgrimage sites that are there, Kanyakumari, in Haridwar, across the country, you will see that the pilgrimages, these sites are actually spread across the country. So for the Hindu, it provided a sense of identity, a sense of unity, that entire country belonged to them. Understood or not? So basically, that is a way that you connect to India as an identity. You understand? Are you able to understand this part or not? Yes. That unity and diversity is that feeling that we get, that suppose if India is winning, that all of us are cheering for that. If we are losing, and despite being, despite coming from different background. But for that to happen, the very basic necessity is tolerance. We should be able to tolerate each other. Because most of the time our opinions may not align with each other. Most of the time our dressing patterns may not align with each other, and that should not make us hate someone. That since you are having a different practices, then I should hate you. That should not be the case. That should not lead to discrimination. Because if that happens, because we have seen on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion, on the basis of regionalism, we have seen that how discrimination happens. Because if that happens, social capital will be lost. What is social capital? The collective well-being of the society in which we believe in the solidarity. Social capital, the important keyword in the definition of social capital is the network of relationships. That in society we have this networks of relationship, trust and shared values. So basically, if suppose this is a society that is there in the entire world, so even though we are coming from different background, still all of us have the same objective, same shared value. That, for example, all of us need to, that we need to get high marks in ethics, for example. So all this batch will have that same feeling. You feel that when you are from the same batch in colleges, when you are from the same department, then you feel that affinity. If suppose someone from your hometown, you just encounter that person here in Delhi, you just feel that, you have met someone who is very close to you, even though you have met him for the first time here. Does this happen or not? If you are living far away from your home, that is what you feel like. If you go to abroad, and somehow, you bump into Indians, of course, if all other people are mostly foreigners, and somehow if you bump into Indians, then you feel a strong sense of connection. That sense of connection is the shared relationship and trust. That we are sharing something, and that is Indian identity. We feel like that, yes, we know each other, even though we are meeting for the first time. Does this happen or not? That is what social capital is all about. You need to understand this term very clearly. Otherwise, you will not be able to write a good answer on that. A question was there 2 years back. How does social capital promote blah, blah. So basically, social capital is that network of relationship, that shared values, that, in which we feel that all of us are in this together. So that is social capital. What are the great example of reflection of social capital? You talk about crowdfunding. Whenever all the people are participating in a project, that is what reflects social capital. You talk about people collectively fighting in the COVID second wave. That reflects social capital, because now people are believing, even though they themselves are not, victim of COVID, still they believe, that they should help someone. That is what social capital means. Suppose some disaster has struck, and I think this you would have seen. If suppose in your town or in your neighborhood area, someone is in problem, some community is in problem, then naturally you feel for them. Those feelings actually reflect your shared heritage, your shared values, that yes, there is a deep sense of concern because both of you are in this together. Understood or not? That is what social capital means. You talk about self-help groups. Now, self-help groups are great dimensions of social capital, because the people, by the name it is very much clear, self-help group. All the people who are coming together, they are basically believing that all of us are in this together. All of us need to, fight this and this. We need to be financially independent, so and so. SHGs are reflection of social capital. Cooperatives are reflection of social capital. Because cooperatives, few fundamental important values that are there with respect to cooperatives are shared values, autonomous functioning and autonomous nature and democratic functioning. These are the fundamental characteristics. So all the people should come together and work towards something. So that is a reflection of social capital. That's a group of people have come together to solve something, whatever their common objective is. So now you are, So now you are understanding what does social capital means. Now you're understanding or not? Yes. So social capital is basically that thing only in which you are feeling this. And this social capital is very much important dimension. The sense of belonging is very, I will give you an illustration here. How many of you have read the book Ikigai? The Ikigai book that is there. If you read this book, that book, talks about that why Japanese people are living for so long. Why they have such long life. And one of the reason is, see, you may be a person that who is having sound health. You may be a person, who is having a lot of money, but if you do not have relationships, if you do not have meaningful relationships, then it will be very, very difficult for you to survive. And in all those communities, which in those communities, the tradition of living long, there was this shared sense of belongingness was there. And that reflects social capital only. That we belong to this place and collectively, collectively they know each other. In urban area, you don't find that often. Urban area, you don't find because we believe in individualism here. But in rural area, you see that collectivism, that sense of solidarity and belonging. And that is why, that is an important axis of survival because after a point of time, the relationships matter a lot. The money will stop mattering to you. Everything else will stop mattering to you. The kind of relationships you are having, meaningful relationships you are having, that will matter to you a lot. And that is why the elderly people, if they are left alone, if they are not having those meaningful relationships, they don't live long because they lose their desire to live long. So that is one of the important axes, of meaningful human life, that you should have social capital. Understood or not? This part, are you able to understand that what are the true dimensions of social capital? Where we have this sense of belongingness and solidarity. Those are the dimensions of social capital. I think in villages there is a tradition of Kanyadan. Whenever there is a marriage, there is a tradition of Kanyadan. And the tradition of Kanyadan is that it is not just usually associated with the father, where it is actually happening, the family where it is actually happening. The people in that community, they will go to the house and they will give at least some money to them as part of Kanyadan, even if they are not invited to the wedding, even if there is no formal relationship with the people. That is how it works in our area, and that is what, that is what is the meaning of Kanyadan. Even if you may not know that person that well, still you will go and you will, chip in some amount of money, because usually for certain period of time, it has been believed that usually the expenditure of wedding will be very heavy for the father to bear alone. And basically all these small contributions are actually a contribution towards that. So even if you are not invited, even if you do not have any great bond with that family, still you go and give some money as part of Kanyadan. So those are the traditions that reflect social capital, that reflect that we are together in this. Understood or not? So that is the meaning of social capital. But in modern times, we see various unfortunate instances. You talk about this Manipur incident that happened. This definitely talks about lack of social capital. Because when you are doing this to someone, even if this lady, she does not belong to your group. So if she does not belong to your group, will she lose the very basic right of being treated with dignity? Where is your sense of belongingness? That ultimately all of you are Indian only, Manipuri only, even if you belong to different community. Where is that sense of belongingness? Even if you come from different community. So that reflects the people who are enjoying this parade. They don't believe in the solidarity. They don't believe that when they are, not treating this particular women properly, then they are actually committing such a heinous crime. And she may be anyone. She may be for that matter, their own mother and sister. So basically it reflects the mob lynching, mob lynching reflects lack of social capital because it reflects greater degree of intolerance. Because merely on the suspicion, we have seen that people have been killed merely on the suspicion. So it reflects what? Intolerance only. It reflects what? Because you did not feel that this person also belonged to this community only. Will you kill your own brother and sister for the same suspicion? Will you kill? Will any of the people who indulge in mob lynching, I dare them, will they kill their own brother and sister for the same thing? For the suspicion? Will they not even try to verify the things before they pronounce the great judgment? But they do so for the other community because there is greater intolerance that is there. So because there is no social capital, you talk about this, the incident that happened in MP, someone urinated on the person from the Dalit community. It reflects lack of social capital. When he is doing that, he is treating that this person does not belong to my community. And when this sense is there, of course you will, that is antithesis to social capital, because the very basis of social capital was shared network, shared relationship, that we are together. That sense of belonging has been gone. When the people are burning parali in Punjab and Haryana, when they are burning parali, thinking that it is not harming them, it is harming some other people living in Delhi. That reflects lack of social capital, because ideally they should be in this together, that yes, we should not burn this. Because we care for them, they also belong to us only. So when you lose that sense of belongingness, it reflects lack of social capital only. Understood or not? Yes, and to build social capital, tolerance is paramount. Without tolerance, you cannot build social capital. Understood or not? Similarly, you talk about, LGBT community and honor killing. So if you are not having tolerance, you will not respect the rights of the LGBT community, of their bodily autonomy. You will not respect the rights of the people who are indulging in intercaste marriage. Understood or not? And it will come only when you are being intolerant. You are being intolerant. Understood or not? So that is why tolerance is very, very important. Let us talk about other important aspects. Secularism. Can you really practice secularism without being tolerant? It will be very, very difficult for you to practice secularism. To be a truly secular person, you have to be tolerant toward diverse practices. Can we truly have freedom of expression if we are not tolerant? No. Because then we will see misuse of Sedition Act. We will see misuse of curb on media freedom. We will see misuse of parliamentary privilege. Yes, we have seen that. The parliamentary privileges have been misused, to file cases against journalists, cases against newspaper. So, for you to exercise freedom of expression, it is important that your right to say, it should be respected. Tolerance. Will we have fraternity ever, this communal harmony ever, if we are not having tolerance? Yes. So now talk about an individual level. No, suppose you become bureaucrat, suppose you become district magistrate. And if you become the district magistrate, then will you be a great leader if you are a tolerant person or intolerant person? Because the people under you, they may come from different faiths, they may come from different background. They may speak different language for that matter. But you have to be tolerant towards them. You have to build a team. You talk about Rohit Sharma, he's leading a team, the people are there from South India, North India, different parts of the country, people are there. So, unless you are tolerant to their own belief pattern and the way they are behaving, it is very, very difficult to build a quality team. And you yourself will not be a great leader. Tolerance, if you are not having tolerance, it will be difficult to practice empathy and compassion. Very, very difficult to practice empathy and compassion. And ultimately, the societies which lack tolerance, they will not develop. We have discussed that, Russ. We have discussed that. I discussed the example of, I think, Galileo, when he said that it is not, geocentrism and heliocentrism. We discussed that. If you are intolerant, it thwarts scientific progress. That is what we should understand. Development. Societies will not develop until and unless there is tolerance. Understood or not? Yes? So, because the artistic freedom should be there. Otherwise, how will media evolve? How will arts evolve? You will not see the development. You will see censorship only, and all these are example of intolerance only. Understood or not? So, suppose if you have to write the answer that why tolerance is relevant for administration, think at the bigger level. Think at the level of democracy, think at the level of liberty, think at the level of fraternity, the keywords in your preamble. Think at the level of justice, social justice and empathy, and then you may talk about an individual level, that individual level better leadership skill. Then you talk about a societal level, development of society because of scientific temper. Understood or not? And development of social capital, resilience of the society. The society which are intolerant, they are not resilient. In the face of adversity, they will simply crumble. Understood or not? So that is why tolerance is very, very important. Now this person has gone. I think, online wallo, what are your doubts? Have you understood? Now I have opened the chat box. Yes. What are your doubts? This topic is completed, tolerance is completed. Please note. Everyone? Acceptance. Acceptance in the context that you accept that someone has their own right. It does not mean that you have to accept that. That you have to, for example, I gave the story of me being vegetarian and going to Kharagpur. Were you there in that class? So I'm still a vegetarian. For me, for myself to become tolerant, I have to have great relationship with my friend. It is not necessarily that I should also be non-vegetarian, because if it is the case, then perhaps my friends are not being tolerant towards me. It should be the respect of the different, respecting the different opinion that other people may have. It is respecting that, yes, that you have different opinion. Yes, we respect that. That's very good linkages, that with intellectual integrity we develop tolerance. Very good. Because intellectual integrity will make you question your prejudices. Very good, Riya. Proud of you. Shabash. ऐसे बातें लिखोगे तो I will be proud of you. A person who is bigot, who believes in prejudices, superstition, stereotype, so that person will be intolerant. That person will not have intellectual integrity. Have you noted this? Fired हो जाएंगे भाई, हट जाएंगे पूरा. Social capital, have you understood the importance of that? The community resilience will not be there. There will be blame game that will be there. You talk about the British conquest of India. This essay topic that is there, that, listen to me very carefully, the essay topic that is there, that it is seldom that, it is seldom that liberty of any kind is lost at once. The essay topic is there. It is seldom that liberty of any kind is lost at once. What does it mean? Yes, that liberty, you lose liberty gradually, step by step. It is just like the case of frog in the boiling water. You know that story? So basically you talk about the conquest of India by British. Now there was no social capital. There was no idea of this collective solidarity. And because of that, they were able to implement divide and rule, and they were able to conquer India. So, that it was not that they become the emperor or the colonial master of India in just 1 year or 2 years. It was a gradual process, and it was only possible because we collectively did not believe. The Marathas, they were fighting amongst themselves. They did not have social capital. All the different kingdoms, they were fighting amongst themselves. So that reflects what? That they are not having that shared heritage, shared values. Very good. So, we are talking about tolerance in a positive concept. So does it imply the same way that society has zero tolerance towards crime, terrorism? Of course, one should not tolerate crime and terrorism. It is, it is there. I will give you another essay topic just now. Okay. I'm forgetting that. Let me just, to you only, I will give you that topic. I think you will better understand that. Okay. The topic is, essay topic is, so many topics you'll be discussing just like that. The essay topic is, wars are poor chisels for carving out peaceful tomorrow. Wars are poor chisels for carving out peaceful tomorrow. So basically it is saying that wars are poor means to make a peaceful tomorrow. You should not indulge in violence. Basically violence does not solve problem permanently. So that is what the essay topic is saying. Understood? Have you understood the topic? But suppose someone is writing, no, we need war. We need war against poverty. We need war against gender inequality. We need war against this. So, of course, this can be the creative interpretation, but we should do that in conclusion only. We cannot make a separate dimension for that when you are writing the essay. So that is what you need to understand. When you're talking about tolerance, we are talking about in this sense only. Not in the sense that we should be intolerant towards crime. Of course, you should not tolerate crime. Of course, you should not tolerate terrorism. That is there for, that it is there. हो गया? Yes. अरे तो आप मार दो. Help him. अरे डिपेंड्स अपॉन कि आप टॉलरेंस किसके लिए हो रहे हो. अब कोई महिला है उसके संग देयर इज ए वुमेन एंड शी इज बीइंग मिसट्रीटेड लाइक एनीथिंग बाय हर हस्बैंड, सो इट शुड नॉट बी टॉलरेटेड because it is going against the dignity, the very basic dignity. So of course I think I can assume that common sense that we should know that towards which thing we can be tolerant, towards which thing we cannot be tolerant. Government will not tolerate you if you do things like that. Sir, internet shutdowns imply being intolerant. इंटरनेट शटडाउन इम्प्लाई बीइंग इंटॉलरेंट. देयर इज नो कॉन्टेक्स्ट कि इंटरनेट शटडाउन मोदी जी ने ऐसे ही करवा दिया, उनका मन नहीं कर रहा था कि भैया टेररिस्ट अटैक होने वाला है, कि कम्युनल राइट्स हैं. ऑफ कोर्स इट इज नॉट द एग्जांपल ऑफ इंटॉलरेंस. फॉर ग्रेटर गुड एट टाइम्स इंटरनेट शटडाउन्स आर रिक्वायर्ड. कम्युनल राइट्स, इंटरनेट शटडाउन्स आर रिक्वायर्ड. इट इज नॉट बीइंग इंटॉलरेंट, इट इज बीइंग प्रूडेंट. This is intolerant, that you are indulging in censorship and everything. That is intolerance. ऑनलाइन वाले जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स हैं, प्लीज वर्क ऑन योर CSAT. आई एम वेरी अफ्रेड बिकॉज the passage is given and then the question is, what is the logical inference from this passage? And there, the option will be like that, internet shutdown promotes tolerance, yes. So, ऐसे बुरा मत मानना है ना, I'm just joking. What we can do to develop tolerance, I will teach you in emotional intelligence. Yes, Smriti, that can be linked to emotional intelligence, human values. Tolerance is basically your attitude. It is permissible attitude. Done? So let us talk about the next important values, that is sympathy, empathy and compassion. Sympathy, empathy and compassion. Let us talk about that. Sympathy, empathy and compassion. So basically, sympathy is, suppose your friend, he has just got the breakup, then you will feel bad for him. Yes, कि बेचारे कहते हैं दिनों से चल रहा था, he was having such long distance relationship, long lasting relationship, and after 6-7 years, now it is not going forward. So what you will feel? Sympathy. But some people can actually feel the pain of it. That they themselves will cry with the friend. मुझे भी अच्छी लगती थी तो मुझे भी दुख है. So basically that is empathy. Yes, that when you actually feel the pain of other people, then it is actually empathy. Empathy is that you are putting yourself in the shoes, in the other shoes. That is empathy. So, you may be putting yourself in the shoes of your friend because you are single for so long, you don't know what relationship is all about. So, all the experience you are deriving from his experience only. So, basically, you feel so bad about it that you feel that his pain is your pain only. Yes? So, basically, that is empathy, that you are putting yourself in the shoes of the other person. But suppose you are so motivated, you are so driven by the pain that you want to help your friend. कोई नहीं भाई, दूसरी मिलेगी, अभी तेरे लिए प्रोफाइल बनाता हूँ इंस्टाग्राम पे, और टिंडर पे, जो भी करना है. So basically that is compassion. So when the feeling of emotion, the feeling of pain is accompanied by the desire to alleviate the pain, then it will be called compassion. So that is the difference that is there. So basically sympathy is mostly cognitive aspect. What your relative may feel for you. If you suppose don't clear the examination, that they may feel bad about you, that you think. Okay. So that is that operate mostly at cognitive level. There is not lot many emotions that are attached to it. So it is basically sympathy. But when cognitive and emotional aspects are involved, because you feel the pain, your mothers, your brother, your sister, your friend, your father, they feel the pain. Yes, your very close friend. So if you are going through some rough patch, then they also feel the pain with you. So that is basically empathy. It involves both cognitive aspect, that you are, recognizing that someone is in pain. Cognitive aspect is that you recognize that someone is in pain. At the same time you feel the pain. So that is cognitive aspect, that you feel the suffering, and it is about only cognitive. This is cognitive plus emotional. This involves not just cognitive and emotional, but the action aspect as well, that you want to help someone, that you want to help that person. So that is basically compassion. So now you understand the difference between empathy, sympathy and compassion. Yes, one is mostly at the cognitive level only, another is mostly at the empathy level, and another is mostly at the that you are taking the action also to alleviate the pain or the suffering. That is compassion. Understood? Yes. So when Election Commission of India is arranging wheelchair facility at booth, it is an example of compassion. Of course, empathy and as well as compassion, because it is making it much more easier for the people to come and vote. What Kailash Satyarthi, Mother Teresa, Tata Group, all these people are doing, all these are example of compassion and also of empathy, of course. Understood or not? And apathy is when you don't feel anything actually. Whatever your result is, when you don't feel anything, that is apathy, your excess. Yes, so they at times become apathetic with respect to what is happening in your life. So that is apathy. So you talk about black marketing of drugs or hoarding of oxygen cylinder during second COVID wave. That was the example of apathy, because when people were hoarding all these things, they were being apathetic to the people who may actually need them and who may die if they are not provided the timely oxygen cylinder. You talk about all the people who are tying the crackers, to the animals. In the Diwali only you will see, usually the dogs, they are very sensitive to the noise, to the crackers noise, very sensitive. But still some people will tie the cracker around their head. So that is being apathetic to them, that you are not even feeling the, pain of that. At times our government, although at the face of it, it will say so many things, but at times its behavior is mostly apathetic to farmers, and that is why so many farmers commit suicide. Understood or not? So all these are, at times, infrastructure is bad. You talk about the air pollution. Delhi, air pollution, it is there. The government has become mostly apathetic to that, and the citizens also. Understood? So that is the apathy, that you don't feel anything anymore basically. It is just, business as usual. So this is what apathy looks like. Understood? Someone was asking me apathy. I don't know, I don't remember the person. Have you understood apathy? That someone is not even recognizing your pain, not even at cognitive level, let alone, feeling the pain and, helping you. Someone is not even recognizing your pain. Your relatives may become apathetic to you, So that is apathy. सर हमारे रिलेटिव अच्छे हैं, ठीक है, तो योर रिलेटिव्स बी कंपैशनेट. कोग्निटिव लेवल मतलब इट इज रजिस्टरिंग. कोग्निशन का मतलब है कि इट इज रजिस्टरिंग टू योर माइंड. At cognitive level only you are entertaining. You are not feeling anything. You just feel bad about it. Okay, like that. It is not that you are feeling the pain. Suppose you see some child beggar. At times you see the child beggar. Then you feel bad for that person. It is not that you will feel the actual pain. Yes, but that feeling of pity is actually operating at cognitive level only. That yeah, I know that this thing is bad. So that is basically sympathy. Understood? When you are actually feeling the pain, for example, your brother, your sister, God forbid, they go through some rough patch, and when if you are very close to them, and you also, you also feel like crying with them, that is empathy, because now you are feeling the pain. Yes? Understood, everyone? Understood? But just like objectivity, that objectivity cannot be the sole criteria of decision making. Can empathy be the sole criteria of decision making? I will give you an example of the child who is begging. The child who is begging, if you are acting out of empathy only, you may give some, alms to that person, some money to that person, to the child, because you are so driven by empathy. But if you are so driven by emotions, you may be encouraging child trafficking for all that matter. If you are very much emotional person, if you are very much empathetic person, and suppose you are the SP, and being an SP, there is a violent protest that is going on, and you may require to take harsh measures like, lathi charge. But being a very emotionally sensitive person, you just don't feel like it. So basically, it will hurt you. It will hurt you that you are not able to discharge your duty properly. Some people, when terrorists are captured, and when they are treated like that, then some people feel very bad about that. So they are not able to manage their emotions. So similarly, just like objectivity is not the sole guiding virtue, empathy is also a virtue, but it should not always be the sorry. It should not be the top guiding principle to guide our decision making. To talk about land acquisition, suppose you are very sensitive to the tribals issue, But if you are too sensitive, then you may not acquire land. You may not have the courage to ask them to vacate the land. You may not be objective at that point of time. Understood? So that is why, it is not the only criteria. Empathy, therefore, is not the only criteria. Just like objectivity also alone is not the only criteria. Understood or not? Yes, importance we will discuss in the context of emotional intelligence, and of course how to inculcate empathy. The role of parenting is there. I discussed that if the parents, their style of parenting is basically authoritative, autocratic, then and they don't allow their child to express. You would have often heard of this term कि मर्द होके रोता है, लड़का है तो रोता क्यों है? So basically, when people have this misconception that boys cannot cry, it actually leads to suppression of their feeling, and then they become apathetic because their own emotions are not recognized. He himself is not recognizing his own emotion after a point of time. How will he become emotionally sensitive? So that is why role of parenting is very, very important. Role models are very, very important. Religious teaching, various religion asks us to be compassionate beings. So religious teachings. Then of course media, what the eyes do not see, the heart does not grieve about. role-playing methods, sensitivity training. So basically, through different means, we are able to inculcate empathy and compassion. We will discuss more on these two aspects in emotional intelligence, the very next topic. Understood or not? Yes? So now you please note it. ऑनलाइन वालों समझ में आ गया? हाँ जी. It depends. No, it depends. It depends. Yeah, that is that the difficulty that is there. You don't know that whether the child is genuinely asking for help or whether he has been put there by some gang. So that is a thin line that you have to decide. Role playing is, I will give you an example. In COVID, various male, husbands, males in the family, they had to take part in the household activities, household chores. And then they realized that it is not actually a very small task that women are doing. And then they realized the importance of it, because earlier they used to think that it is not a very big task that women are doing by managing the houses. But when they actually have to do it themselves, then they realize. So role playing actually puts you in that condition. It asks you to play that role so that you can actually empathize and understand the problems that are associated with that role. So that is what role playing method is. Understood?
Without empathy, objectivity can lead to without empathy can objectivity lead to empathy.
हाँ भाई, ये तो बोल ही रहा हूँ मैं, कल से ही बोल रहा हूँ. Yes. Yes, there is a degree of balance. The degree of balance is emotional intelligence. That we will study just after that. हट गए उदित जी, हट गए स्क्रीन के सामने से, खींचिए फोटो. जी बताएंगे इमोशन इंटेलिजेंस में. पिछला वाला दिखा रहे थे तब कहाँ थे भाई? Not just willpower, many things depends upon the difference between empathy and compassion. Not just willpower. You may not have the capacity. For all the willpower, you may not have the capacity to help. Done? समझ में आ गया? So now let us discuss the next. अच्छा ये भी है. So now let us discuss the next important topic, emotional intelligence. But before I teach that, let us just discuss what do you find that is common in these pictures? What is the commonality that is there in these pictures? Yes. So we can see this is basically, what is this? Road rage. Yes. So this is road rage. This is again, violence, and this is Thukra ke mera pyar. So basically, all these are examples where emotions have gone wrong. Yes, emotions have gone wrong. Yes or no? Impulsive actions. Yes. All these are examples of that. Then what is common in these pictures? What is common in these pictures?
Emotion channelized in right way.
Yes, emotions are channelized in a right way. You talked about this. There, the people were seething with anger against corruption, during the time of India Against Corruption movement, and that anger was channelized by India Against Corruption movement. During freedom struggle, People were seething with anger against British authorities, and that was channelized by, Gandhiji, to form a mass-based movement. Understood or not? You talk about Malala, when she was shot, she's channelized, instead of retaliating, she's channelized that anger to actually make it a mission that she will help people. Understood or not? So basically, emotions are like energy. Yes, emotions are like energy and depends upon you how you will be utilizing those emotions. So emotional intelligence is basically, that you have to utilize those emotions very judiciously. Anyone can become angry, that is easy, but to be angry with the right person for the right degree at the right time for the right purpose and the right way, that is not easy. So basically, that is what emotional intelligence means, that you are able to govern your emotions. You are not driven by emotions, you are, taking charge of your emotions. Understood or not? That is what emotional intelligence means. समझ में आ रहा है आपको? Yes. So, what is basically emotional intelligence? So, emotional intelligence fundamentally is basically the ability to interpret, understand, and manage one's emotions and the emotion of others. So, basically, first thing that you have to notice about this definition is that emotional intelligence is simply the ability. So, just like an ability, it can be misused also. So, not always emotional intelligence will make you automatically an ethical person. Emotional intelligence is an ability that empowers you to do so many things. We will definitely see what those things are, but fundamentally we need to understand that is what emotional intelligence means, that it is simply an ability. Now, what this ability is all about? What this ability is all about? So basically, it acts as two primary axes, that is recognition level and regulation level. So it is talking about recognition of your own emotion, that is self-awareness, and the recognition of the emotions of others, that is social awareness. Without recognizing your own emotion or the emotion of others, you can perhaps never experience and master emotional intelligence as an ability. Understood or not? And a second important axis is that once you know what are the emotions, once you know what are your emotions, what are the emotions of others, once you know it, you must know how to regulate it. You must know how to regulate it. So this regulation should be at the level of individual, that is self-management, and secondary it should be at the level of social level, that is basically relationship management. So that is primary the thing about emotional intelligence, that is talking about recognizing your own emotion and the emotion of other, and at the same time it is talking about regulating your own emotion and the emotion of others. That is basically you are managing the relationships between the two people. And all these things are permeated by self-motivation. We will discuss that later. So a human being experiences many emotions, joy, anger, disgust, anger, sadness, surprise, so many emotions an individual experiences. And it is important that we are not driven by these emotions. Understood or not? Suppose you see the question in prelims, you are solving the question and you are finding question paper too easy. Rarely it happens, but yeah. So suppose you are finding the question paper or the particular question very easy, and you are driven by the joy. Oh, I just read it yesterday only and it has come into the examination. And in that joy, the joy has now overpowered you and now you are misreading the question. Perhaps it is asking for the correct and you are marking incorrect, and vice versa. Perhaps you are marking the wrong bubble in the OMR sheet because you are so driven by the emotion, you are not acting in the present. So now you are understanding what is the basis of emotional intelligence. It is basically about managing emotions, your own emotion and the emotion of others. And for that, the prerequisite is that one should know one's emotion. So let us discuss one of the most important dimensions of emotional intelligence, that is self-awareness. Now, without being self-aware, it is not just possible that you will be able to govern your emotions. It is not just possible, because to be self-aware is the first step. That is, suppose I am someone who become angry very very often. So anger is something that I already know. So without me knowing that anger is an emotion that is governing me, how will I ever manage my anger? Suppose I need to figure out that these are the trigger that is actually making me angry, and that is how I should respond to them. Then only I will be able to manage my anger. So for that, it is important that you should recognize your emotion and how they actually affect your thoughts and behavior. Because without knowing this SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, and all the analysis, without knowing that, it will be very, very difficult for you to master your emotions. For very first step is that you recognize them. You talk about people who are driven by desires all the time, pleasure all the time, drug addict, alcohol, people who are alcohol addict. So basically, those are the people who are driven by their emotions. That the gratification that they get from by doing those things, be it gambling, be it addiction to drugs or alcohol. So basically, those people are so driven by those desires, they are so driven by those emotions that they are not even able to contemplate that it is the bad thing. It is emotion that they are driving them. And perhaps now you can recall the example of Buddha. Now when he saw those people, the different scenarios, the dead person and the elderly person, so and so forth, then he took this path that the very first step to do anything, that one should know oneself first. And that is when he attained nirvana, and that is when he attained the true knowledge. And that only liberated him from the control of emotions. The first step is you should know yourself. Suppose you are working in an organization, some wrongdoing is happening. And of course, you might have this aspect, the joy you will get if you serve the public interest by disclosing that information to outside. So that joy is there, but at the same time, the fear is also there, because you may be killed, you may be punished for that. So until you know that what is it, or it may be the joy of that you will be very famous if you indulge in whistleblowing. So until you know what is the right reason of whistleblowing, is it the joy of, is the pleasure that you will be deriving from being famous, or is it the joy or the pleasure you will derive from saving public life? The right intention, it matters a lot. And that is why, until you have that clarity, you will not be able to control your emotion. So self-awareness, that is how it helps you in resolving. The question was there, and how does emotional intelligence help in resolving ethical dilemma? The whistleblower is facing the ethical dilemma, whether he should blow the whistle or not. But by knowing the true emotions, the emotions that I am doing it for the right reason, by having the better awareness that I have to serve public interest, I need not be famous because of that, then by knowing that, he will make the right decision. So that is how emotional intelligence helps you. You talk about conflict of interest. When you are in bureaucracy, at times you may face conflict of interest. Your brother is there, who is unemployed, poor, everything, and you love that person. At the same time, you have a duty to give tender, objectively to all the people. You should be fair to other people. So how will you resolve this conflict of interest? Without knowing what are your top priorities. So that is why self-awareness is very much important, that what is your top priority. Yes, Riyad, very good. Swaraj, Gandhian concept of Swaraj over emotions. So now are you able to understand the concept of self-awareness and how actually it helps you in resolving your ethical dilemmas. Understood or not? Let us talk about, social awareness. Regarding social awareness, I think we have already discussed that when Gandhiji returned from South Africa, he undertook this tour of entire country before he plunged in national movement. So that is the example of social awareness. Unless you understand others' emotion, unless you understand other pain, how will you react to that? How will you find policy or solution to that? It's very, very difficult. Since Gandhiji was able to understand the pain of farmers, laborers, women, Dalits, everyone, then only he was able to become a mass leader. Yes? You talk about tribal society, just after independence, there was this belief that that tribals, they are living in forest and they should be assimilated in the mainstream development. This belief pattern was there, that they should be assimilated. Understood or not? But then, until and unless you know their perspective, you have the social awareness to know their worldview, that they may not view GDP or the material development in the same fashion. Unless you know their perspective, you will never understand. You will always want to impose your own worldview on them. And that is why Panchsheel, Panchsheel with respect to tribals were propounded by, Nehruji. So basically, unless you know other people, unless you know their emotions, it is, and at times, knowing others, can liberate you, it can make you educated. I will give you an example. I'm not recalling the name of the tribe, The tribe is there. One study was going on in that tribe, in Philippines or, in some area, I'm forgetting everything. But the tribe is basically, the tribe was, saying that this color is this. For a particular color, they were calling the color by a different name. And the people, the British, or the Western scholar that was there, he said that why they are calling this color by the name of other. So if he, listen to me if he was imposing his own worldview on them, he will perhaps understand that the name of the coloring is wrong. But when he actually tried to know their perspective, having social awareness, then he got to know that the tribals have actually very good taxonomy with respect to colors. They have different attributes based on which they have decided the color. Various attributes, how sharp the color is and everything, intensity and everything, and based on which they have decided. Similarly, the tribe, one tribe was having different name for snow. We only know by the name of snow only. But they had different name of snow. If you watch this documentary on Eskimos, and they are building their igloos. You know the igloos? The house that is built from a particular snow. So, for us, that is snow. For us, that is ice only. But they call it something, I'm forgetting again, the technical term is there. They call that ice by a different name. But for us, it is ice only. For us, it is snow only. So if we impose our own worldview on them, we will be wrong only. We will be wrong only. But that ice is actually a special category of ice that actually helps them in having the structural integrity of their house, that is igloo. That ice is very special and they know that from where that ice will be found. And they can differentiate them. So basically, social awareness liberates you from your own prejudices, from your own ignorance. So until you know the problem or the emotions of other, how will you react to them? How will you manage the relationship? So unless we know the perspective of others, basically tribals, how will we ever have good relationship with them? We'll always try to impose ourselves on them only. To talk about the change of perspective that is there in the context of Naxal management from security approach to Samadhan. So that is basically having a multi-pronged perspective that yes, now we have better understanding of this phenomenon that Naxalism is not just the problem of security. It is having humanitarian angle as well. So only when you are having better social awareness, you actually can understand problem, more clearly and perhaps devise a more precise solution. Are you understanding this or not? How it is resolving your ethical dilemma? How emotional intelligence is resolving ethical dilemma? By social awareness, you actually can identify the problem very clearly that yes, whether we should go for security approach, or law and order approach toward Naxalism or humanitarian approach, perhaps you need both. Perhaps you need both. And that perspective will only come from better social awareness. You have to take the emotional cues. Bharat Darshan, all the bureaucrats, they go to Bharat Darshan because of that only. You talk about migrants, until we knew the problem of them, we will never understand their pain. How can we take action for them? So now have you understood the importance of A, self-awareness, B, social awareness, that how without being aware of our own relationship or the being aware of the relationship of other, we can help people. Understood or not? Can we help Naxals without understanding their perspective? Can we help tribal without understanding their perspective? Can we stop alienation in Jammu and Kashmir without understanding the perspective of youth that is there? No, winning heart and mind will not be possible if we always keep on imposing our worldview on them. Understood or not? Let us move to the next important axis of emotional intelligence, and that is self-management. Because ultimately, now that you have figured that yes, there is emotions and emotions are governing you, and that is what your strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, it boils down to the management of emotion. You have to control your impulsive feelings and behavior. That is what is most important. You have to control your feelings and behavior. I think I have discussed this. Once Lord Buddha was sitting under the tree and the people came and spat on him, and he simply asked, what next? So basically, he knew, he was having that kind of self-consciousness and he was having that kind of control that he asked that person, what next? And that melted heart of this person. So basically, it talks about lot of self-management skills, lot of emotional management skills. Definitely, Lord Buddha was emotionally intelligent. You talk about Nelson Mandela, imagine the kind of power he had when he became the leader of South Africa. He could have done anything to those white minority who were oppressing them for so long. But then he discussed that forgiveness liberates the soul, it removes fear, and that is why it is a powerful weapon. So he was able to control the emotions. Have you heard Gandhiji saying that, Satyagraha is not for the weak? Have you heard that line? That he will prefer violence than being cowardice. That line is there. Because he believed a true Satyagrahi will never submit to the wrong means. So basically, you imagine being Gandhiji. That people can do anything on one call of yours. That is the kind of power he was having. And despite that, he was being sent to jail and treated like this. Lathi bhi khani pad rahi and everything is happening. So he must have lot of control over himself. Any person who is having non-violent means, he have to be very courageous person. Because if you are fighting a mighty empire with violent means, and then still you are taking non-violent means, you have to be very courageous. That courage only comes from managing your emotions. Understood or not? Gandhigiri comes from courage. Gandhiji comes from that only. So courage is very important. Self-management of the feeling is very much important. One must know how one should regulate the emotion. And talk about the fourth perspective, that is now managing the relationship with the other people. Relationship management. Now, when you are talking about relationship management, we are talking about communication, not just verbal communication, but non-verbal communication. When we are talking about managing the emotion, we are talking about raising the morale of the follower, raising the morale of the group, because emotionally they may be down. So at times what they require a leader, it uplifts them. He uplifts them. You talk about New Zealand, for so long, we have seen New Zealand punching above its weight. It does not have many superstars, but still, it performs really well. Because overall, team lift each other. The captain is like that only. You talk about MS Dhoni in 2007 2020 World Cup, he was able to inspire everyone for that kind of performance. On the other hand, you can contrast our campaign of World Cup in 2007, ये सब ज़्यादा पुरानी बात होगी क्या आपके हिसाब से? तो लेटेस्ट एग्जांपल ले लेता हूँ 23 World Cup final and then 24 World Cup final. The huge difference was there. India was playing so well throughout the tournament, but then what happened in the final? What happened? You tell me, the same players who are beating everything ruthlessly, same players, what happened in the final? They were not able to manage them. They became so defensive in their approach. They did not trust their instinct. And because of that, they could not perform that well. Understood? On the other hand, in the World Cup final, they were able to control their emotions. Even when 30 were required of 30 balls, they were able to control their emotions. That is what the true leadership means. That it is able to inspire people. It is able to bring the best out of the people. I gave you the anecdote of Kalam Sahab, that how he was able to, inspire, and, the subordinate example that I gave you. Yes, I think I gave you the example of E. Sridharan Sahab, that how he was able to implement punctuality in his organization. Of course, if you go in any organization, you will face a lot of resistance, but it is the job of the leader to inspire people to do so. That is relationship management. That is an essential attribute of emotional intelligence. E. Sridharan Sahab. Similarly, we talk about people who are working in Naxal areas or any very, very harsh condition. Often soldiers die of malaria or dengue, than bullets. At times the working condition is very, very poor, and that is why you see, the attrition rate is very high in Central Armed Police Forces, because the working condition is not that great. And that is a problem that is there. So, imagine how will you motivate your subordinate to work in such circumstances. So, relationship management comes into the play, that you have to motivate them, you have to inspire them, and ultimately you need to bring the best out of them. That is what leadership is also all about. Understood? And the fifth and most important component is motivation, because without motivation, you will not be actually controlling your emotions for long. You will not have the perseverance or the achievement drive or the ability to delay the gratification. All of you know this marshmallow experiment? No? Actually, what happened, there was some experiment done on the student. The children, they were made to sit in a room for half an hour, and they were having this marshmallow candy in front of them. And they were told that if they can just hold on to themselves and they do not eat this candy for half an hour, they will get 2 candy. But if they are not able to hold on to themselves, that they can simply have this candy and go home. And that is a very famous experiment. It is known by marshmallow test. And this famous experiment, of course, there were some students, some children, who thought कि लाइफ किसने देखी है 30 मिनट. They were so great philosopher, कि लाइफ किसने देखी है 30 मिनट बाद, जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. And they could not hold on to their emotion, and they simply had the candy as soon as it was put, before them. For 30 minutes, it was very, very difficult. Videography was there, and it was very, very difficult to hold on to their urge to actually get that. Even because they knew they can get it, they will get that one candy. But some people were able to delay their gratification, that yes, candy ja kahan rahi hai, candy is here only. Then probably they were able to delay their gratification for half an hour, and later they were given 2 candies. And when these 2 group of students were studied for long, it was found the second group who were able to delay the gratification, they were far, far more successful in their life. Because in whatever you do, you will always have the chance to experience the gratification just now or delay the gratification. And often, every great achievement requires delaying of gratification. You talk about yourself, you are studying here, yes, then you may be delaying your own gratification of, by not going to party. You may be getting a lot of invite by your friends, delaying gratification by not going to home, indulging in so many things. You talk about that is delaying gratification. Similarly, you talk about the things, you talk about cricketers, all these cricketers, they have to maintain a fitness regime. If they don't maintain that, and they simply have this marshmallow or whatever they want to eat, then they will not have the right fitness. So basically, in whatever you do, you have to sacrifice your ability to gratify yourself. And that is an important metric to understand that yes, this pleasure can wait and we will get this pleasure later. You know this ashram, brahmacharya, grahastha and ashram, all these ashrams are there. In that ashram, in the brahmacharya ashram, it is said that the individual should not indulge in earth and calm. He should not derive worldly pleasure in that ashram. So basically, even if you don't believe in that, but that the part is that basically you should not run towards pleasure in that particular period of life. Your goal orientation, your priority should be very much clear that you have to learn skills, you have to get education. In this case, it is that only. If you suppose start, that you have to earn also, you have to, experience other worldly pleasures also, then what will happen? You will be distracted like anything. Yes? So that is very, very important. Ability to delay gratification. And that decides a lot that whether you will be successful or not. And you think it from the perspective of emotional intelligence. That all of you know, we derive a lot of satisfaction and emotions when we eat good thing, when we eat outside, when we party, and we spend some good time, yes? But that emotions, the desire of those emotions, if it start controlling ourselves, then we will be problematic. But if we can delay it, then we can do it later also. Perhaps when we write our test, when we are done with our, whatever schedule we have fixed for ourselves, then only we can do that. Understood or not? So that ability actually is very much important for you to become emotionally intelligent. The line was written, anyone can be angry, but to be angry at the right person at the same degree, it is very, very difficult. Because you have to delay it. That right now is not the time to be angry at someone. Probably you can be angry at that person after some point of time. So you have to delay that, and that requires a lot of motivation. You talk about bureaucrats, at times the press media, it is there, it thrusts mic in their mouth, so that it provocates them basically, so that they say something that is sensational. So you have to resist your urge to say something nasty to them, because otherwise you will be in the headline next day. Understood or not? So that is what ability to delay gratification or basically self-motivation mean. So basically, if you are emotionally intelligent, you have to delay. You talk about Gandhiji. After non-cooperation movement, the Chauri Chaura incident, of course he was pressurized by everyone, please continue the movement, and suppose, and had he continued the movement, even though he was able to see that, movement is there, and he promised them that you will get the independence very soon and everything, then people will be like, yes, our leader is great, he's listening to us, but Gandhiji also delayed that gratification. Gandhiji also delayed that, no, we'll stop the movement right here. So the people who are emotionally intelligent, who are not driven by emotion, they have this very good ability to motivate themselves and delay the gratification. Understood or not? It is very, very essential attribute if you want to achieve anything great. I remember, a song is there, Kar Chale Hum Fida. Yes? How many of you heard of that song? A very patriotic song. In that song, 2 lines come, that जिंदा रहने के मौसम बहुत हैं मगर, यस, जिंदा रहने के मौसम बहुत हैं मगर जान देने की रुत रोज आती नहीं. So basically it is saying the same thing, that even though अभी आपको लग रहा होगा दुख खत्म काहे नहीं होता बे, yes, you may feel like that because many of you might be in the multiple years of this attempt, and you feel like that, lot of great opportunities are there. Many of you have done your graduation from very good schools and colleges, and that great opportunities are there. Basically, lot of opportunity cost is there. and then you are feeling that why this suffering is not ending. It will end for you. I'm telling you, one day it will end for you. Fortunately, unfortunately, one way or other, it will end for you. Although it may seem at this point of time that, how far is that end? One day it will end for you, but then you may not have the time to live the life that you are living. Now, this is the most precious. Never in your life again you will get to live this life where you can solely focus on your goal, you can be motivated, and you can do so much, and you become civil servant because it is a life-changing position that is there. So the ability to delay gratification, it should be there. I will talk about Veer Pratap Singh. He was my student in 2018, and when he became successful, I said, "Chalo, bhai, tumhe khana khilate hain." So I took him to CP, and I asked him that how often do you come here? And he said, "Sir, I don't come here." I did not know about this background, that he comes from very humble background. So I simply asked him. So he said, "Sir, I don't go outside. I usually eat, if I feel like that I eat something different, and I will cook myself only." So imagine, for so many years he did not even venture outside. Of course the circumstances were there, but then it also required a lot of courage and determination to not go outside and party. Of course he would have friends who would have sponsored the treats and party for him. So basically, it is your ability to delay the gratification that tells a lot about your commitment, your motivation, and ultimately your emotional intelligence. Understood or not? Yes? So now you please note it, and then you will. So all of you have understood the 5 aspects of emotional intelligence? Online walo, understood? Yes, that is a good example of relationship management. The founder of Zomato himself delivering food to understand the issues of logistic partners, delivery partner. That is a great example of that. पीछे वाला क्या है? फोटो ही तो है. Photo also. This one. ये है, इसके ऊपर तो कुछ नहीं है. ये है, उसके ऊपर एम्पैथी है. एम्पैथी, सिंपैथी, कंपैशन. उसी का चाहिए था. तब कहाँ थे? बहुत जल्दी क्यों झूठ बोल रहे हो भाई? पहले ना सतयुग में ना लोग पता मर जाते थे झूठ बोलने पर, छींक भी नहीं आती है लोगों को. बहुत जल्दी. कितना देर तो रुका था. समझ में आ रहा है ऑनलाइन वालों? All of you are able to understand what we are discussing? फोटो चेंज कर लेना है ना, यहाँ मैं कर दूंगा अगले लेक्चर्स में. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर बोर्न आफ्टर 2000? आफ्टर 2005? आफ्टर 2003? Before 2000, Bhishma Pitama. Before 1995. Before 1995. हाथ ही नहीं खड़ा करेंगे. Okay, nice. Inculcation of self-motivation and neglecting. Yes, Kanak, that is right. Cultural relativism, yes, it is important that we understand from their perspective. It is application of that only. That better social awareness, that you are truly understanding them, not from your prism or your biases, from their perspective. I have forgotten the name of the ice actually. I will tell you, I will just watch that documentary again and then I will tell you. Very special form of ice, and because of that, the structural stability is there of that house. I am forgetting the name of the ice. And for us it is all the same, but they know the difference in between different type of ice. So that is what we should not think that we are too knowledgeable. हाँ जी. अब मनी मन बोलेंगे कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा. Louder. You can write. No, not this party example. Not this party example. You cannot quote that. He is in Tamil Nadu now. Very dear student. क्या बोल रहे हैं? सीबी. अच्छा, मेरे को कह रहे हैं. अच्छा. अरे सीपी यहाँ से पास पड़ता है ना भाई, सेमिनार के बाद सीधा वहीं चला जाता हूँ, इसीलिए. आप आईएएस बन जाओगे तो आप जो लोगे, आप जहाँ बोलोगे वहाँ चलेंगे. ठीक है. नोएडा में क्या है? सीपी में मिल जाता है ज़्यादातर, सब चीज़ें पास में ही हैं इसलिए. हाँ ठीक है, खान मार्केट में उसको सीपी बोल देता हूँ. चलो, देखो इनको ये टेंशन हो गई है कि सर सीपी ले जाएंगे फिर से, मैं बनूं कि नहीं बनूं आईएएस ऑफिसर. इनको तो फंडामेंटल क्वेश्चन आ गया कि फिर से सीपी ले जाएंगे, पता नहीं कहाँ ले जाते होंगे, हल्दीराम पे तो नहीं खिला देंगे बैठा के फिर से हैं? तो आप कहीं नहीं जाते, एग्जाम पर देते हो? नहीं भाई मैं जाता हूँ. कैसे तुमको नहीं पता? समझाने के लिए एग्जाम पर देता हूँ. अरे नहीं, देखता हूँ मेरे पास फोटो है क्या नहीं. लेट मी जस्ट. ट्रस्ट इश्यूज हो रहे हैं बच्चों को, जस्टिफाई नहीं हो रहा. एग्जाम्पल अलग-अलग में सेट. ये आपने बहुत अच्छा बताया मुझे, इसे जस्टिफाई क्यों कर रहे हैं. लेट पीपल कमेंट. सही बात तो आपकी बहुत, ये सीखनी चाहिए आपसे. सही बात नहीं, अच्छी बात है एक्चुअली. क्यूरियोसिटी बनी रहनी चाहिए. एग्जाम्पल नहीं देता तो मेरी रिलायबिलिटी आप ऐसे जज करेंगे कि वास्तव में खाना खिला रहा हूँ कि नहीं खिला रहा हूँ. अच्छा, क्या बच्चे तो कुछ भी मान लेते. आप परेशान क्यों हो रहे हो भाई? आप मत मानो, मैं नहीं लेके जाता. अब आप बनोगे कि नहीं बनोगे आईएएस, ये बताओ. बताओ आपकी फीस वापस कराता हूँ. नहीं तो बोलो. बच्चे उस पर ले लिए पूरा. लेट मी सी, मैंने फोन चेंज कर दिया एक्चुअली बीच में, तो मैं दिखाऊंगा फोटो पर आपको. रुको, आई एम श्योर आई विल हैव फोटो. क्या बोल रहे हैं? ओके, सो लेट अस टॉक अबाउट अनदर इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक. अरे कौन सा कोट रह गया भाई? ये बच्चे, ऑनलाइन वाले बच्चे अलग हैं. ये बॉर्नविटा पीते हैं, बता रहा हूँ आपको, मानो चाहे ना मानो. कुछ रह गया है मेरे से. ये भी अपना टाइम लेंगे. ये सीपी गया, आ गया. तो एक बच्चे को डाउट आया कि सीपी क्यों जाते हैं, दूसरे को आया कि जाते हैं कि नहीं. इन द एंटायर क्लास ये डाउट है. इनोसेंस. चलो, तो अब कहाँ पे आ गए थे हम? EQ IQ पे ना. Okay, so now that we have understood emotional intelligence, yes, So there are two important terms that we need to. Marshmallow test is a very famous test. You can simply mention that. Very famous test is there. Marshmallow experiment. So there are two terms. One is emotional quotient and another is intelligent quotient. Just like there were emotional aptitude and intellectual aptitude. And I told you both these things are very different. Yes, your intelligence, your cognitive it actually tells a lot about your cognitive capacity. You know, it tells a lot about your cognitive capacity. I think I will just show you this first. That what is your cognitive intelligence? And that actually relates with the logical reasoning, problem solving, so on and so forth. Yes, it is very different than emotional aptitude that deals with humans. I'm sure you would have come across people, that we often call them geeks, that they are geeks. Geeks in the sense that they are very good with things. They are very, very good with computer, technology and everything. But they may not have a great time with their relationship with human beings. They may not feel so well when they are dealing with different people. They feel very comfortable when they are dealing with computers, laptops and problems, writing programs, coding and everything. I think in Big Bang Theory, one character is there, Sheldon. Yes, that character is there. That character is, like geek. He's very good with respect to IQ, with respect to cognitive capacity, but not so good with respect to emotional quotient. So they are the people, they are very knowledgeable at times, they have a lot of cognitive capacity and everything, but they just don't find themselves, very comfortable when they are dealing with human, and that is why they do not become great leaders or manager for that matter. Because to become a great leader, you need to manage people. Ultimately, it is about people management skill. But since they have a lot of IQ, they can achieve lot many things singularly. Because they are really good at problem solving, logical reasoning, etc. So basically our education assessment that is there, it is usually the assessment of IQ. It is usually the assessment of that. Seldom our emotional quotient is measured. How many of you have come across such person? Like I'm telling you, that very good on IQ but very poor on EQ? No one in your circle? Actually, I will give you an example of my friend, I think, he was computer science graduate from my own college only, and he would say that very often to me, यार पीयूष तू मुझे एक लैपटॉप दे दे बस, और मैं दिन भर बस एक कमरे में काम करता हूँ, and I will be the best programmer in the world. I can be that person. He often tells me that you give me the laptop and I will work, in a corner of the room, so that I need not deal with the people. And I can be the best programmer in the world because I have the ability. Of course, he had the ability. Under 200 rank he had in IIT JEE. That's not a small feat. That is the test of IQ only, basically. So he had this ability, and they are like that. He is very good at that, but he does not want to deal with humans and people so much. He does not feel very comfortable. So basically, those people, they lack emotional quotient, but they are very high on IQ. And that is why it is said that, that without EQ, it will be very difficult for you to become too successful. Because success depends a lot on team's effort. There is only so far you can go individually. There is a limit to that. But ultimately, if you want to create something spectacular, often it requires EQ. And that is why a lot of your success will be decided by EQ and not just IQ. Because EQ is more about relationship management, EQ is more about man management. Maggu word aapne kahan se suna, Shubhangi? Yes, it was there in our KGP, Maggu. We used to call them. Are you from KGP? We used to call Maggu. So, acha, nice. So basically, yes, so those people are like that. Not to say anything wrong because they also contribute a lot. But I am saying that a difference that is there. Because to create something so great, you need to manage people, you need to manage team, and at times you may not have a very very high IQ. It is at times it is not required. What is required is that people who are working for you, the same people who are having high IQ, that they work well for you. that you are able to extract maximum out of them. That is what is desired. And that is why such people, they become great leaders. They may not have great IQ, but they have great EQ. Because ultimately, what is expected that their team should deliver, their team member should deliver. And that will be their performance ultimately. So that is why, lot of your success depends upon EQ and not IQ. That is what you need to understand. Yes, to talk about our political leaders, yes, all the leaders who are having great success, they may or may not have IQ, but they definitely have great EQ. Yes, so that is different, and that is a difference that is there between leaders and manager. And this is a very important theme of question that may be asked in your paper: leader versus manager. Often when we are talking about managers, they are simply managing things. Some routine tasks have been given to them, because all the program managers and everyone, some routine tasks have been given to them that this is what they need to do. This is what they have to do. So there is fixed work that has been done, and that is what they have to do mechanically. So they need not take any initiative and something like that. But the job of the leader is not just to follow, but to show the path. The job of the leader, the very fundamental job of the leader is that their followers should believe in the vision that leader is providing. Because otherwise, those followers, their efforts, it will not be channelized towards that vision. So that is the first job, that the leader has to convince the follower that this is the vision that we should strive for. Then only they will put in their efforts. Second important part is, once he has shown the vision, the dream, he should show the path, that is how you will get there. And then he should motivate them all the time that yes, that is how you will go there. And then he should coordinate everything. So basically, that is the job of the true leader. And can you imagine, it requires a lot of emotional intelligence, because you need to convince people. It would have taken a lot of emotional quotient or a lot of emotional intelligence on the part of Gandhiji to convince everyone that non-violence cannot be part of our strategy. That we have to stop the non-cooperation movement because of violent movement. So can you understand that part? It would have taken so much of emotional currency to convince people that yes, that is how we will go forward. So leadership is altogether different. In management, you are routinely do. If you have worked in any private sector, a manager will not come and motivate you. They will simply give the task and expect you to do it. Deadlines will be there, because they themselves are also behaving in the same fashion. But the manager who are true leaders, they will actually try to find out that what is the best possible role that is there for you, where you can utilize your ability most. So that is a difference that is there between leader versus manager. And the leaders who have this ability, they are able to deliver well, because ultimately you are dealing with humans only. And when you deal with humans, you actually need emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. And that is when you punch above the weight, because collectively 1 + 1 become 11. At times, have you seen this? Even if you have a great team, you talk about 2007 Cricket World Cup. I again give the example. The team was star-studded. So many star performers were there, but such poor performance in the actual World Cup because the atmosphere was not there, the leadership was not there because of Greg Chappell era. But then you talk about 2007 T20 World Cup. So that is what difference leaders can create. They can create an environment in which people believe in the vision of the leader, and yes, we will get there. And that is only possible because of emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. Understood or not? So that is why if you have to go far, you have to have a blend of both EQ and IQ, and EQ plays far greater role, because of course if you are the man or woman of great EQ, you can make people work with high IQ for you. Understood? And that is why these are the people who will, they will excel. Ultimately, they will excel. This is a very important theme. UPSC often asks this question. Understood or not? Yes? इसको लिख लीजिए, EQ versus IQ को. हाँ, emotional quotient is the axis basically on which we are measuring that how much responsive the person is on the emotional axis. Ultimately, he has to be emotionally intelligent. An emotionally fool person, how can he be a great leader? So, a lot of success is decided by EQ and not IQ. Sir, yet something to concept of knowledge without integrity and integrity without knowledge? Definitely not. Different thing. सब लोगों ने कैमरा बंद कर दिए, क्या कर रहे हो भाई? पढ़ ही रहे हो ना सब? कमरे में क्लास चल रही है स्पीकर पे, घर वाले सोच रहे हैं बच्चा पढ़ रहा है, बच्चा ईयरफोन लगा के पता नहीं क्या कर रहा है. हाँ, with high IQ without EQ lead to objectivity. Yes, that you can definitely say. केवल IQ है, EQ नहीं है, तो you will be apathetic. You will be objective, but you can be apathetic. Yes, you can say that. अरे बाकी लोग हो? Are you here? गिनती के 3-4 कैमरा ऑन है बस. Out of so many people who are attending. Done? आगे चलें? So, the next important topic is role of EI in administration and governance. That why our bureaucrats should be emotionally intelligent. Why our bureaucrats should be emotionally intelligent. Understood? So, to understand that why our bureaucrats should be emotionally intelligent, we need to understand the limitations first. The limitations of Bavarian bureaucracy that we have already discussed. Because in the context of Bavarian bureaucracy, we were supposed to be objective. And that objectivity means what? That we will not be bringing emotion in our decision making. Right emotion or wrong emotion does not matter. We should only care about facts. And that is the great limitation of bureaucracy, because when rules become the end in themselves, when you become so apathetic, when you become so very neutral, it actually leads to apathy. It actually makes you status quoist. Because what you need to do? You need to ensure law and order only. You need to collect revenue only. That is what colonial administration used to do. If you are a collector and suppose you are someone who believes in regulatory aspect only, then you will be implementing rules and regulations only. Ki bhaiya, everyone has taken license or not, things like that. Other than finding out, what is the literacy rate that is there, what is the poverty rate that is there, what is the, let's say MMR that is there. So basically, developmental role require a lot of initiative on the part of bureaucrat. He cannot sit home, he cannot sit back at home and think that things will happen automatically. Understood or not? So, status quo, if status quo is there, and that is a traditional hallmark of Bavarian bureaucracy. Because of value neutrality, it led to apathy. That is what we have discussed. Rules started becoming end in themselves. I give you the example of PDS officer and the presidential visit. And ultimately, if we are following the hierarchy, that is the traditional attribute of Bavarian bureaucracy, then it will be antithetic to team building. If you believe too much in hierarchy, if you believe too much in this supremacy that you are superior and someone like that, then it will create problem in team building. And because of that, this colonial supremacy hangover is still there in the MyBop culture is there in our bureaucracy. Because we have inherited both these institutions from colonial times only. And because of that, the MyBop culture has permeated from colonial time to after independence. Is it there or not? It is there. In many states of the country, you will see that once you become collector and SP, you start feeling like semi-gods. That you are semi-gods. People should worship you. That is what you feel like. It is very difficult that you are not intoxicated by power that you get by holding such important positions. And that is what happens. The limitation of Bavarian bureaucracy is there. But now in the changing context, we know that our role is not just regulative, it is developmental oriented. We need to find out solution. We need to anticipate problem and then find out the solution at times. We need to be innovative, and for that, what is required? Emotional intelligence. What is required? Emotional intelligence. And perhaps, the same example of Niyamgiri case, if it is looked from the perspective of Bavarian bureaucracy, then perhaps they will say, we have to earn money, rational, objectivity, and we will displace them. But an emotional intelligent bureaucrat will understand their concern also. So, to make a transformation from regulatory role to developmental role, you require emotional intelligence. From closed system to open system, because earlier bureaucracy used to believe that they are the fountainhead of the knowledge and they don't require any input with respect to policy making or implementation. They don't need anyone, and they will make the law and then they will implement it. People were beneficiary of their great heart, that they are implementing the policy, they are doing so much of favor to the people. But if you see things like that, then it is problematic actually. But now we need participation of people in policy making, in law making, in implementation also. And that is why you need emotional intelligence. And ultimately, because of democratization and need of good governance, and because of all these things, we need a bureaucracy that is emotionally intelligent. Now you are understanding this context. Now you talk about this context of Indian Penal Code. The context was that we have to penalize only. So that was the perspective of Bavarian bureaucracy, that you should punish because rules are rules and you have to follow that. But a more human perspective, emotional intelligent perspective is that you should take care of the rehabilitative aspect also, because ultimately, the person will be integrating back to the society after completion of his punishment. So now the focus is not just on penalty, but also on complete justice. And that is why you need emotionally intelligent bureaucrat. Understood? Yes, Kanak, you are right. Understood? Understood or not? So now that we know the background of why emotional intelligence is important, let us now see their utility, at different level. So at individual level, let us discuss at individual level first and then we will discuss. Let us talk about the role of EI at individual level. Now individual level, if you talk about, there is a lot of pressure that is there on bureaucrat. Lot of pressure is there on bureaucrat. When they are performing, you talk about SPs, at times they are not given leaves. At times they are not required, they are required that they should not leave the station. It is there. You talk about their Holi Diwali. So at times lot of pressure is there, but they discharge their duty. At times you are punished for being a man of integrity. You imagine being Ashok Khemka. At times you may have a rough day at your home, at your office, but you cannot take that frustration, on your family members. And ultimately, you have to resist the urges, different urges of money. 10 crore, 50 crores, 20 crores, that kind of money, the power, that emotion, you have to resist that. How will you resist that? With emotional intelligence only. So, whenever you have the rough day, if you are emotionally intelligent, then only you will understand that you cannot take that out on family. You have to maintain work-life balance. Only when you are emotionally intelligent, you will have the self-motivation to, endure so much of transfers and suffering, like Ashok Khemka. Only when you are emotionally intelligent, you will not be lured by the desires of power and money. So basically, that is how emotional intelligence will help you at individual level. Understand? That is how it will help you individually. It will make you more calm. It will help you in terms of managing your private life with your public duty, and you can resist the fear and favor, the emotions of fear and favor. And that's why you can perhaps remain objective also. Understood? Impartial also. Let us talk about their role at intra-organizational level, basically when they are behaving within administration. That why EI is required, why emotional intelligence is required at intra-organizational role. We talk about, if any leadership role, often there are factions, often there is lobbyism that is done. Yes, the corporate people, they will want something, the farmers, they will want something, consumers will want something. So often lobbyism will be, favoritism will be there. How will you manage their emotions? How will you arrive at a solution, that is at least acceptable to everyone? How will you arrive at that? To talk about TN Session, it would have taken lot of emotional intelligence when he was managing all such friction within the government, set of the ruling parties not agreeing that they will implement APEC and everything. So it will take lot of emotional intelligence, to actually implement that. Having problem-solving approach. I gave you the example of Naxalism, yes? Winning heart and mind. You talk about election duty, whenever election is conducted, you would often see if any of your parents have been government servants, then you would often, especially teachers, you would often see that they have their duty in the election management. And then they will go to the district election officer and say that we are ill, we are not well, please don't indulge us, please don't employ us in this election duty. Now, if suppose everyone start doing that only, then how will the bureaucrat or the district election officer, how will he conduct election? Because otherwise the machinery will be short. So you need to be emotionally intelligent to actually understand, whether someone needs actual leave or not. And that judgment will only come when you are truly emotionally intelligent, whether you are being taken for a ride or someone truly need it. That judgment should be there. And that judgment only comes from emotional intelligence. Then relationship between, seniors and junior, especially in the organization like police and military, hierarchy is very steep, hierarchy is very rigid. It is important also because without discipline, you cannot imagine any armed forces. So that relationship between seniors and juniors, it will also not be possible. It will also be not possible if you are not emotionally intelligent. I think we gave you the example of Kalam Sahab, how he was able to understand the problem of his subordinate and he helped him. Imagine if you are having that kind of leader. What will you do for that kind of leader? How inspired will you feel if you are having that kind of leader? I think I was just going through this interview of Sanju Samson, and he was telling to this commentator that in the 2020 World Cup final, initially it was decided that they will play him. But minutes before the toss, the decision was changed, and it was Rishabh Pant who was playing instead of him. And he said that after submission of that thing, the Rohit Sharma came and spoke to Sanju Samson for 10 to 15 minutes. That that because of so and so reason we had to take the decision. And he was telling that I felt so great that a captain, is actually trying to calm me down so that I do not think differently. And there is World Cup final just after a few minutes, but he is still finding out the time and telling me that why the decision was reversed. So basically that is a great hallmark of the leader, that he understands the emotion of other, how that person will be feeling because you have just left him out. So similarly, administration also, similarly things work. The relationship between senior, yes, there should be hierarchy, yes, it should be, but it should not come in the way of team building. That is what you need to understand. You talk about, suppose you are an SPU who is very arrogant, believe in this Mai-Baap culture, who have just gotten to the Nasal place. And often you will see that the subordinates that are posted there, they are the people who are having local knowledge. Yes, because they have been there for 15-20 years. You have just come here after passing out this examination. But if you are behaving like, semi-god, then they may not cooperate with you. They may not tell you the real ground information. And then it may be fatal for you. You may not be an effective leader because you are not having the right inputs. So that is what is desired. In almost all those postings, the your subordinate will be the people who are serving there for 15 to 20 years. They know better than you the local condition. So that's why you have to share your supremacy at times. And that is only possible when you are having emotional intelligence. I talked about CRPF. In CRPF, you are witnessing 20 exits a day. That is the attrition rate that is there. So suppose you are having that kind, because the circumstances of working conditions are very tiring. Working conditions are very tiring. I told you that at times, they do not even get, qualitative food to eat. At times, they are bitten by mosquito and they die because of that. So such are the working conditions, and because of that, people are leaving. Imagine you are the platoon commander and you are working with such people. What will you do? How will you motivate them that they go out and they properly do the patrolling? And whenever this examination that is the assistant commandant examination, the assistant commandant is the commander of the company that is there. If he wants, he can simply stay all the time at the camp and he can, send all the company people that you go out for the patrolling. I'm the officer, I should not go out. I will be here chilling. But what impact it will have on the morale of the subordinate? For all that matter, they may stop going for patrolling. They will just go outside and they will chill. And they will come back and say everything is fine. And that is why company commanders, the company commander also goes with the company. Various time it goes with the company so that they understand that yes, our leader is here with us, suffering. And that is how you motivate the people. And that is why whenever any conflict situation is there, you see all the senior officers, they are on the ground. One IPS officer, I think, who was shot dead by terrorists in 26/11, Hemant Karkare. Yes, he was senior IPS officer, but he was on the ground. So imagine the morale of the subordinate if you are not on the ground. So that is the job of an emotional intelligent leader, that he understands the pulse of the subordinate and to motivate them. He also take care that he should not be fearful and he should be on the ground. Then only they will be efficient and do their job. So that is then bringing the best out of subordinate. You talk about Kiran Bedi, yes? When she was posted in Tihar jail, usually jail postings are not considered plum posting. They are considered that you are shunted. But she was very emotional intelligent leader and she made the best out of the situation that was presented to him. She undertook so many reform activities in the Tihar jail, to reform prisoners. And ultimately she got Magsaysay award for that only. That was the kind of impact she was having when she took that job. Understood or not? Yes? So that is what emotional intelligence is all about. We have discussed Ichidaran, that how he inculcated punctuality. But if emotional intelligence is not there, what happens? These kind of things will happen. CRPF sub-inspector shoots the senior before committing suicide. Basically, the senior was not responsive. In this case, you read this. A particular policeman, he asked for the leave because his wife was pregnant and he was not granted leave. And later, she died. So you should be emotionally intelligent enough to understand that when the leave is desired for true cause and when it is just a foul play. So that is why you need to be emotionally intelligent. Understood? These are the example of very poor work conditions that are there. When this person was making the video of the poor quality of food that was served, it was not just telling a great deal about the poor working condition, it was also telling us the great deal that perhaps the seniors are not that approachable, that this grievance could have been resolved within the organization. Perhaps that kind of emotional intelligence was not there, that seniors invite a suggestion from the juniors and understand that what is the problem that they are facing. Understood or not? So these are the example of lack of emotional intelligence. You talk about this, onlookers. At times we see road accident happen and the onlooker, they start filming the incident, instead of helping the incident, helping the people. What are these? These are the examples of lack of emotional intelligence only. We talk about this, people, the road is not there and everything is, like this, and still administration is not taking action. Apathy is there. So people, they themselves started building their own road. Lack of emotional intelligence on the part of administration. Basically, it shows lack of social awareness. Understood or not? Yes, then you talk about this, after 2023 World Cup final, Rahul Dravid came to the press conference. But when we won the World Cup this year, Rohit Sharma came to the press conference. That is a true hallmark of leadership on the part of Rahul Dravid. You talk about Ganguly, Ganguly is credited that he bagged various youngsters when they were, drafted in the team. He provided an environment in which the youngsters were, provided support that yes, you are here for a definite amount of time, and then you will get a lot of time to actually prove yourself. That you are not here on the trial basis, that you will be judged on every single match performance. Imagine the batsman who is under so much of pressure because he is judged on every single match he is playing. Will he be able to play freely? So that's why, Yuvraj Singh, Viran Sehwag, they always say that they were very fortunate to play under the captaincy of Sourav Ganguly. So basically, that is the hallmark of true leadership and emotional intelligence. Understood? So ये नोट कर लीजिए आप. इसके बाद हम कल करेंगे. मेरा गला थोड़ा सा ठीक नहीं है अभी. कहाँ से दिखाना है? इंडिविजुअल लेवल, राइट? और नहीं, इसके पहले भी था. दिस प्लेस आफ्टर टेबल. ओके. Everyone understood? Online walo, I will repeat this intra-organization part tomorrow. Anything that you could not understand? Online walo, anything? सबको समझ में आ गया? आपको समझ में आ गया?
Example of fear which can also be a compassion.
Yes, example of compassion. Yes. कहाँ रह जाते हो आप? कैमरा फोकस नहीं कर पा रहा है. यस सोहानी. फर्स्ट स्लाइड अगेन प्लीज. कौन सी है फर्स्ट स्लाइड? नोट्स तो अपलोड हो गए होंगे आपके. ये बाहर प्रिंट आउट हो गया क्या नोट्स का? अभी नहीं हुआ. आई गेव टू एल्डोस. यू आस्क्ड हिम कि अपलोड हो गया क्या? समवन प्लीज चेक. आई थिंक दे हैव बीन अपलोडेड. ही टोल्ड मी दैट ही हैज अपलोडेड देम. This part. This is basically that at individual level, you're talking about how it is helping you being mentally and physically fit. Relationship at private level, at home, and public relationship, basically your workplace and every other relationship, and at workplace. It may be private sector, any other workplace. It is that. Yes, they have been uploaded and notes have been uploaded. It is there. रेडी आ गया? ठीक है. हैंडआउट्स आर देयर. डन? National integration, great example of emotional intelligence. You talk about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Every princely state, was the king, in his own sense, and how he actually managed that. You can contrast it with the policy of blood and iron of Bismarck, that he used all such diplomatic means, to actually integrate the entire nation across all the princely states. So basically, it is a reflection of emotional intelligence, that how he was emotionally used, that leverage various aspects. Princely, I think initially they agreed that princely purses will be given, all such things will stay. and all those concessions were given, and then they were drafted into the Indian nation. And all these things are great example of emotional intelligence. Our story of national integration is a great example of that by Vallabhbhai Patel. Done? Okay, then I think any other doubt online walo? Please let me know if there is any other doubt. Any other doubt that is there? आप बताओ, any doubt? How emotional intelligence develop tolerance? Suppose you talk about tribals, and you see them doing so many things, but you don't understand why they are doing what they are doing. So you may develop intolerance towards them. So emotional intelligence makes you emotionally sensitive towards their perspective, and that is how you become tolerant. The example of Nirmala Sitharaman was from the perspective that being the finance minister, being the budget maker, she is dealing with many interests, and those interests are actually at times conflict with each other. Industrialists versus farmers versus so on and so forth. So that example was from that perspective, that bureaucrat or administration, they need to be emotionally intelligent to deal with such pulls and pressure from different quarters, from different lobbyists. Thank you, Pragati. Huh? No class. Done? Everyone, online walo, everyone done? Closed system basically mean कि bureaucracy is taking a decision in itself. कि law भी हम बनाएंगे, policy भी हम बनाएंगे, हम बना के आपको दे देंगे जनता को. अब आपको सब्सिडी मिलेगी, हम आपसे पूछेंगे नहीं कि आपको क्या चाहिए. तो वो है closed system. They believe they are the fountainhead of the knowledge. सारी knowledge उन्हीं के पास है और हम वो आपसे कोई मतलब नहीं, हम implement कर रहे हैं. ये तो आप शुक्र मनाओ कि आपको benefit मिल रहा है. That is attitude the bureaucracy, that is closed system. That they are not allowing anyone to participate. Understood, everyone? Okay, bye-bye, good night.